Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is an M44, the Tier 6 American SPG. It's located on the north spawn of Malinovka and it's under the command of Kento. Now he's got a 155mm howitzer which is mounted in a swivel bracket. You can see that bracket right below, and that means he's got a very wide arc of fire. And it's all mounted on top of a Walker Bulldog chassis, the M41. Game started. Okay, well Kento's going to move away from this firing position and pick another one. That's a bit too far in the open, you see. Might get spotted. But if he goes into these trees, he should be nice and safe in here. And the enemy will have difficulty trying to spot him. Oh, knocked a tree down there. Not usually very helpful, but he's turning to shoot at the enemy and he'll probably go straight to the aim. Well, an enemy tank has been seen straight away. It's an AMX 12 ton and he's relatively close, in fact, very close. Rounds out. All landed shallow, but the AMX 12 tons just taken massive damage and he's gone. Okay, just adjusted our position slightly. Nicely ensconced in those bushes. Now in battles like this on Malinovka, I normally aim for the spotting bush because you never know if somebody might have decided to go into that bush and sit there. But you can see that Kento has gone straight to counter battery and he's looking for the enemy Arty. So he's looking for tracer coming from them. He's looking all the way up the east side of the map. Still no sign of the enemy. In fact, actually now I think he's decided he's going to fire at the enemy heavies. And there's the first bunch of them. It's an ARL 44 and a P43 Biz. Fires at the ARL. It's a bit short, that one. Stunned the ARL, but that's all. That P43's just been tracked. We're going to be loaded any second, but he's moving again. Rounds out and a bit late on the shots, so the shell landed behind the target. Again, another thing with Arty is that you have to think ahead. You have to think where the target's going to be when the shell arrives there. At the moment, that distance away, it's 2.5 seconds for the shell to reach the target. So you have to think about the distance that that target's going to move in 2.5 seconds. And also which direction it's going to move in, because a tank could pull backwards rather than going forwards. You just saw that tree go over. That would indicate that there's an enemy tank making his way up the hill. And our tanks are making their way up to the top, so the enemy tanks are probably going to be there already. And the top of the hill is well within our arc of fire, which means we should be able to get our aim dialed in very quickly on any enemy tanks as soon as they're spotted. And there's the ARL 44 and an Oni, and we fired at the Oni, and that's a direct hit right into his side. P43 Biz has been killed. Another thing to do when targeting tanks is to target multiple tanks when you know that the shell you fire will actually damage more than one tank. And that one damaged the ARL, but it stunned both the Oni and the ARL. And you can get double benefit, because if you stun two tanks with one shot, then if one of your teammates fires at one of the tanks that are stunned, you'll pick up the stun assist. And that shell stunned the ARL 44, but not the others. Now another little trick that I use is I tend to aim just slightly short of the target. You see that little dot in the center? That's the fall of shot indicator. That indicates where the shell should land. And he's got a direct hit into the side of the Oni. If you can put that little dot right next to the target, not actually through the target, but right next to it, the shell should land on the ground right next door to it, but if it overshoots, it'll go into the target easily. If you try to put the dot the other side of the target, normally you'd say the shell would travel through the target to reach the dot. But if it undershoots, it might just track the vehicle. If it overshoots, it might fly over the target altogether and hit the ground the other side without doing any damage. So really, when selecting the enemy and the target, you have to adjust your fall of shot to work out where the enemy's going to be and fire the shell at a target where you expect him to move right into the path of the shell. So looking at this display at the moment, we've got an OI moving up the hill, a very colourful one, and we obviously know he's moving ahead, so we fire ahead of him and he just drives straight into the shell. That was perfectly aimed, that. Perfectly aimed right into the side of him as he was driving up. The OI is now pushing that wreck with him as extra cover, but that's going to slow him down and make him an easier target for Arty to hit. Fires another round in and another direct hit, perfectly aimed. You see, it's not a good idea sometimes pushing armor ahead of you as extra cover, because it just makes you more vulnerable to Arty. And I think the OI's just realised that and gets wiped out by the next Arty shell. Well, that T-29 now knows he's got 2 tanks covering him to his left against Arty, but there's the Oni. We can go for him. And oh well, Kento fired ahead of the Oni, thinking the Oni was going to keep moving forward, and he didn't. He decided to stop at that point to take a shot. Okay, so wait for the tanks to bunch together and then fire a round in so you can do more damage in one shot. And a lovely hit right there into the turret of the ARL. He's now one shot. We should be able to take him out with the next round. Oh, he's definitely a one shot now, no doubt about it. He just took a round from one of our teammates. We fire at the Oni and the ARL's dead. These 2 enemy tanks are now in a lot of trouble. The T-29 hasn't lost any hit points at all, but that's about to change any second because the Oni is blocking his retreat, so he can't pull down the mountain. Oh, and that was aim short, that one. Okay, now he's gone to overhead to actually see where the fall of shot's likely to be. That T-29 is trapped. He can't move down while the Oni was in the way. He can back away now. But the round comes in and hits the T-29 for 182. The first hit on him. Now, whilst he's blocking the T-29's retreat, we'll pile on these rounds, one every 16.79 seconds. Rounds out again. And that one went over the top of him, over the engine deck, and landed the other side. But it did stun both of them. I don't think that T-29 driver will be very happy with the Oni driver for blocking him like that. Going for the Oni. Direct hit again. It hit the engine bay rather than hitting the front of the vehicle. Now we're looking for a shot at that T-29. Almost loaded. Here we've got a red line because of the windmill, but that's it. Pick a spot ahead. Oh, it overshot. Landed well behind him. The Oni's now using the T-29 as cover. Almost staying behind him. Oh, now we're going to go for the Oni. Rounds out and it lands just in front of him, but it does 203 hit points. They're coming down the hill. And I think Kento's decided he needs to relocate. Yep, I think you do. And it doesn't matter if you knock down a tree whilst you're retreating like this. You just need to get into cover. And I would say just head south as quickly as you can, because it appears that we've actually captured a lot of enemy territory towards the south. And if the enemy are rushing down that hill, they're going to get spotted by the KV-2 and the A43. And then we'll still get shots at them. But they'll spend time, wasting time, looking for Kento in the forest, and he's not there anymore. There's the T-29, spotted by the KV-2. So, dial in ahead of him. Rounds out, looks good. No damage reported. Oh, we have been spotted. So there must be an enemy within visual sight of us. Okay, so maybe the south isn't as safe as we thought it was. But if we get into one of these dips here, we should be perfectly safe. Okay, this looks good. There's only 3 enemies left now, and they're all up on the hill except for that Cromwell. He's actually behind us, and we're being spotted by him. Fire around it. Oh my God, look at that! Taken out by the Su-152 the moment after our shell landed. He got double tapped. Fantastic shot there. 218 hit points on the Cromwell. Then he got the stun assist for 409. And now we're firing at the Oni. That one landed short. There's only 2 left on the team, the T-29 and the Oni, and I think they're somewhere in that forest. But a good idea would be to get into the cap right now, start putting pressure on them. Oh, he just took out the Oni with a blind shot. He aimed at the same spot where he was last seen, but it was a blind shot because he didn't have sight of him at the time he did it. Fantastic. And the enemy is capping, so the T-29 must be in the cap. Means he's closer than we thought. So let's start aiming for the cap and wait for our teammates to spot. He must be near those buildings to use them as cover. They're all coming down from the hill now. They all want a piece of that T-29. He's going to stay in the cap. And the moment he's spotted, there he is near the buildings. He's in the bush, rounds out, direct hit 237. We can just squeeze him for all the hit points he's got left now. I think Kento's going to enjoy this. Two, one, ready to go. Rounds out. Right into his rear, 230 hit points, potential high caliber. And the Hellcat comes in to get the coup de grace. Game over. Nicely done. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. And it's an ace tank for Kento in the M44. He also got a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 16 in that one. A Gore's medal for doing more damage than 10 times the hit points to his own vehicle. And a high caliber as well for dealing the most damage in that battle overall. And his win 8 for the game was 6-3-4-6. Well done indeed. Some lovely shots in that game. Let's have a look at the team score. 2,781 hit points of damage. The next high scorer was the Oni with 1933, and that's because he was killing most of our guys who are up on top of the hill. And after that, it was the AMX-13F3 on the enemy team with 1890. When it came to kills, though, it was the Su-152, the Hellcat, and the T-3485 on the enemy team, who got 3 kills apiece. Kento got 2 kills, along with the P43 Biz and the Oni. And when it came to base XP, well, because Kento was tier 6 and some of his opponents were higher tier than him, he was actually earning more XP. So he got 1200 XP, 916 base experience points for the Hellcat, and 658 for the VK3001P. He fired 30 rounds, he got 10 direct hits and 35 splash. Is that right? 35 splash? Oh, splash damage, sorry. Damage of 2,781 hit points, of which 2,563 were at more than 300 meters. Actually, I misread that because he actually stunned 35 tanks during the battle. So although he only actually got 10 direct hits from 30 shots, or only 1/3 of his shots actually hit the target, he was stunning multiple tanks every time these rounds were going in, hitting the ground, even though they weren't doing any damage. So 2,563 hit points were at more than 300 meters. The close one was that Cromwell, which he hit to, was very close to him at the time he did it. 7 enemy vehicles damaged, 2 killed, 79 hit points of damage assist, and 1,479 hit points of stun assist of 33 stuns. He managed to get 2 defense points by hitting the T-29 in the cap, and he earned 61,607 credits, got 50,000 from the Vedi Vidi Vici, so his total came to 111,607 credits, and after ammunition resupply, he took away 96,457 credits. He got 4 bonds for getting the Gore's medal and the high caliber, and 1800 XP times 2 for the first victory, took away 3600. So a very good round, and he said this, the P stands for position. Well, Klaus Kellerman obviously says that the P stands for propelled. It does really, but obviously as well, it means position. If you find the right spot and use it correctly, then you will get a lot of damage on the enemy. If you enjoyed that replay, please give it a like, do subscribe to our channel and hit that notification button so you don't miss a single replay. We do put up about 4 a day and sometimes more, and it would be a pity if you missed a really great replay. Thanks for watching.